without further ado, let me ask the first keynote presenter, Mr. Michel Maschi, to come up. He is currently the head of EDF R&D's global operations. Prior to that, he was the executive vice president of Unistar Nuclear Energy, a wholly owned EDF subsidiary in the United States. Prior to this position in the US, he has held the role of senior audit manager at EDF, where he oversaw audits involving principal risks tied to EDF's activities in France and worldwide in general, all specifically focused on the entire area of nuclear energy. Mr. Maschi has had over 2 decades actually, of experience in high responsibility positions in the nuclear sector. He's been involved in the design, development, launch, and even management of a nuclear power plant, not only in France, but abroad also, including China and Slovakia. He's a graduate of École Polytechnique and a graduate from Means Paritech. With this, please welcome Mr. Michel Maschi.
Thank you, Ami, for this short presentation. I would say just that my background is mainly nuclear, but I can tell you that EDF is not only a nuclear company, and we are here to show that we are working on all the activity of the energy, and especially the smart city is one of our key challenge. So good morning, everybody. I would say that because I've seen there is a lot of French-speaking people, bonjour, attending to this session. I am in charge, as Ami said, of the international activity on R&D side and also the international partnership. But we work as a team with Mr. Bernard Salat. I'm very honored to be here today in such a famous university. I happened to visit it 35 years ago when I was just a student to see. And I didn't realize that I could go back here to do a lecture here. But it's clearly I'm really honored to be here in such a nice place. I would just say that Mr. Bernard Salat, who is the Executive Vice President of the Research and Development EDF group, asked me to present these keynotes because, unfortunately, he has been solicited at the last time for a solicitation by the CEO, and he cannot attend this meeting, but he asked me to excuse him. And I hope I will support this in the question especially, but we'll see that after. Okay, I would like first to thank His Excellency François Delattre, the French ambassador to the US, the organizer, CITRIS, the French consulate in San Francisco and Prime, and also the cities of San Francisco and Paris to make this conference happen. I do not forget to congratulate also the team of EDF Inc. here that has done its best to prepare this conference, and wish to thank them for their involvement and their support to make this happen. Finally, I take this opportunity to congratulate the 2 cities of San Francisco and Paris for the agreement which is currently being built between the connection between San Francisco and Paris. And I think it is really a key outcome of the CAFID conference to have this agreement done here. Let me wish that such a collaboration could bring in Paris the sunny weather we've got here, because I can tell you that we had a lot of rainy time in the fall, and I'm very happy to see that the weather is nice in San Francisco. So why do we focus on smart city today? Well, it's well known that half of the population is now living in cities, and the number of citizens will permanently grow to reach, by 2050, more than 6 billion, which represents nearly 70% of the world population. As you know, cities are the motor of our economy and the industrial and cultural innovation processes. But at the same time, They are the major responsible for energy and water consumption, for waste production, and also for CO2 emission. So this is a massive challenge for the cities to accommodate their growth on limited resources and taking care of environmental issues such as climate change. Our question is how to offer citizens the quality of life they expect while limiting their impact on environment. This raised the question of attractiveness of cities, how to attract industry and talent. One answer is by developing the economy and promoting the quality of life in the city. But this also raises the question of resilience. How do we prepare cities to face challenges such as climate change, sea level rise, flooding, but also taking into account the human activities? The last point concerns the management of cyber security risk in the smart city. With growing connectivity and information flows, how to protect cities, infrastructure from cities, from cyber threats, and ensure the privacy of citizens. These three questions are, as we say in France, the fil rouge of this conference. And I'm sure, and I bet that the discussion during these 2 days, as Jean-Claude said, will be truly beneficial to us and raise a lot of questions and also maybe some argument. Today, we in EDF think that the smart city concept is part of the solution for sustainable economic growth. I'm going to give you some explanation how and why we proceed on smart cities. But just before, I just recall some key elements about the Electricité de France. EDF Group is a major and international low-carbon energy player. If you just look at the CO2 emission per kilowatt, you realize that it's a very low effort from the average European. And of course, it relies on the 78 reactor in operation, nuclear reactor in operation in France, UK, and US, but also on the renewable energy as hydropower, wind, and solar. And not everybody knows that we are producing the more important renewable energy in Europe on EDF. We have a strong implantation in Europe, where we cover the entire file of energy from production to operation, and more than 45% of our revenue are generated outside France. For example, in the US, EDF Group operates 1.5 gigawatt of installed renewable capacity through our EDF Renewable Energy subsidiary, and also we produce carbon-free electricity with our nuclear fleet from CNG on the West Coast. But EDF is also preparing the future, and that is one of the key objectives of the R&D teams. The Research and Development Division brings innovation and research to the entire value chain of electricity from generation, transport, distribution, and operation. This activity is vital to our business because it is a place where we study, analyze, and test all new technologies and models for a better and more competitive energy use. Also, to take advantages of the works done outside France, we have built a network of R&D and innovation centers around the world. Here in US, of course, led by Jean-Claude, but also in China, in Poland, in UK, in Germany. This latter center in Germany is supporting our expertise on questions about energy in cities and territories with capabilities for modeling and simulation. We will come back to this, and I know that there are people from this center here who came from Karlsruhe to join this conference. In EDF, we want to demonstrate that smart city can provide added value. Smart city approaches traditionally consist in deploying information and communication technology to improve city operation, such as the automation of the energy, water and transportation infrastructure, the availability of online access to city services. But there is a second side of smart city approach, which consists in using modeling and simulation techniques to better plan the future of cities. In EDF, our conviction is that smart city approach can help to build a sustainable city, and to achieve this goal, we need to develop a systemic approach between the different technical systems, including also local policy. Thinking of the future of cities, requires a long-term vision on energy needs, transport infrastructure, waste, building, which have time scale of several tens of years. And so we have to be innovative and to anticipate technological progresses. Big cities have tremendous challenges to face and need the support to take appropriate decisions for their development. As you can see on the left part of the picture, we can build decision support tools for leaders in charge of long-term energy planning based on systemic model, using complex systems and integrating the specific challenge of the cities for a customized approach. On the right side, we show that we also have the capability to implement solutions for smarter cities. These solutions are taking into account long-term impact as well as economics on the short term. For instance, we engage on solutions for low-carbon energy and for renewable energy, and on demand side, for energy efficiency in buildings, transport infrastructure for e-mobility, smart grid, and demand response. But we have to prove that this development brings added value. The model and demonstrator can support this idea. About modeling cities, development for decision-making tools, if you consider the energy planning, the complexity, then you need to integrate challenges as different as land availability, water use, waste production, with a growth of population, transport needs, and energy supply. But what are the drivers to build a sustainable city in such a context? We think that only a systemic approach is relevant to propose efficient and sustainable solutions. In partnership with Veolia Environment, here you see the city of Mexico, only a systemic approach is possible, and we have firstly started integrating our long-lasting and worldwide expertise in a tool. Then we used innovative complex system of simulation approach. And finally, we developed capability to represent the result on the digital, on 3D scene on the city, which is really helpful for the decision makers, but also for engineers, because you have a lot of information embedded in such a tool that you can use. And this gives a visible result for the complexity and can support the decision of the people in charge of cities. As a demonstration, we have answered to Singapore challenge to increase quality of life and district attractivity. We are working on the decision-making tool to support Singapore authority to increase energy efficiency in buildings, to increase local renewable electricity with integrated PV to buildings, and to assess the impact of greenery on energy consumption. As you can see on the video, we can show the display of solar panel on roofs and the total annual capacity to help deciding where to start with the PV installation regarding cost effectiveness. Now, about solution for short-term time, we have to first look at the transportation. You know, transportation is a key driver for urban development, and in Europe, transport is responsible for 1/3 of CO2 emission. Electrical mobility is a key answer to this, especially in towns where there is a low CO2 electricity or a potential for electric renewable. We have studied the impact of electric mobility in town, as an example, in my town of Nice, south of France. And here we propose to optimize the integration of electric mobility in the electrical network, including loading infrastructure, taking into account the shopping center places and the localization of the population. We also assess the impact of this solution and on public transportation and on CO2 emission. And this way is a way we found to make a smart city for the community. Second example is about building. It is an important part of the city energy consumption in our Western countries. They are responsible for more than 40% of energy consumption and CO2 emission. We have to speed up innovation for building the envelope with new material and processes to decrease energy needs, but also looking at the way the population lives in this building and can become responsible for the consumption. We can implement innovative energy management system, potentially connected to smart grid. And once we optimize the energy demand, we develop renewable energy equipment with high efficiency. We can finally empower the customer with all this information available and means to monitor his own energy consumption. We know how to connect the energy needs for buildings, transportation, and industry with the energy production, centralized or decentralized. We now need to install smart grids in cities to have a global optimization on the energy consumption using smart meters, electrical storage, and integrating intermittent renewable energy. The new information and communication technology provide a great support to that. The best way to test such innovative solution is to assess cost effectiveness, and to assess cost effectiveness is to have a demonstrator. There is a lot of demonstrator in states, in the United States as well in Europe. Here I've taken an example which is a Premio project which has been tested in France, and we have been working with EPRI on such a project. And this offered a virtual power plant connected to all kinds of electrical power supplier. With this kind of demonstrator, we can bring a lot of information about the different uses, and it's really helpful. Now this demonstrator has been stopped, but we have tens of other demonstrators in France and in the US. And I think it is one of the key elements to see what kind of added value we can propose to cities. To benefit from innovative momentum in the world, we have also developed different partnerships and international presence all over the world. We have demonstrator projects, and each of these projects are specific because each city, each leader of the city also, are different, which is really helpful for us to have a total range. For example, on Lyon, we work on low carbon production, eco-city. On Singapore, we provide urban planning for the leaders. In Mexico, with Veolia, the problem raised by the city was the waste management. And in Danville, we will see that after, and come back to this in the conference. It is attractiveness and resilience, which were the key issue to deal on this. So coming to Danville, our team in Palo Alto and Washington with Jean-Claude and Gabriel and all the other collaboration of EDF Group subsidiaries, and also, of course, with Veolia Water, is working on the project with the town of Danville in Virginia and on the very issue of energy and climate change. The driver are to make energy system functional, then to improve attractiveness to company, and last, make sure that the city is resilient. Again, we want to start from real question and problem raised by the cities. That is why we built collaboration with the city of Danville, and the results of this pilot project are expected very soon and are promising, showing already synergies with the energy sector and the water in the city. So in a nutshell, I just want to say that EDF is working every day to better serve the public and to implement innovative solutions regarding new cities' challenge. Smart city is one of the elements that can provide us to do that. EDF is developing also a holistic approach for cities which aim at getting cities to be more attractive. We are convinced in EDF Group that working on smart city is opening new concept of energy use for the future, and also new model of consumption in cities and in the different places of town, countries, and why not more larger, and will offer people living in sustainable cities a better life and reduce our impact on environment. I thank you for your attention.